Lord, my thought left me. Lord,
That's okay.
I can't think, but I have been listening to your videos on YouTube, and they're really encouraging and motivational. So it like puts a fire on you, and you're like, which way? But yeah, I'm going to use that one, and also the testimonies, and I can't think of the other one that I had in my head, but it's a lot of ideas that the Lord had gave me, and then listening to you, it's like He's confirming with me that that's what He wants me to do. So I'm just looking forward to putting everything together and moving forward.
I love that. That's beautiful. I'm glad that God's been confirming things for you, and you found that the YouTube videos are helpful. We actually, for those who don't know, we do a weekly webinar every Tuesday on Zoom, and there you can get on Zoom, and it's free to attend, and you could ask other questions. It's got a shorter, like 15-minute Q&A session, but I do a training on health marketing webinar, and that training portion I publish on YouTube, and that's also one of the ways that I help health educators for even beyond this challenge. If you, in between, I do this monthly challenge every month. Once a month we do this, but in between, if you guys ever want to hop on, get some questions, and find some encouragement, then yeah, we do that on Tuesday. But I'm glad to hear from you, Annette, that you found that helpful. Sonia, I see that you unmuted. Would you like to share a takeaway? Oh, and in the chat on Zoom, my assistant just put a link where you could find more information about the weekly health webinars.
Yes, my takeaway is I appreciate the suggestion of recording the presentations because I think this is my forte. I'm a certified public speaker, which I did, from my UN work because you have so many speeches to give over there in that career. And so I'm more comfortable with presentations. So I do a lot of presentations, whether it is at churches or retreats, etc., where I'm invited or so. But I never record them, and every time I have to make up a new presentation. Of course, you have to always tailor it depending on the audience, the age, and the issues, what you're dealing with, the demographic, etc. But that's something I have to start considering, recording them and replaying them or monetizing them as you suggested.
Yeah, that is huge. Right there is very powerful. When you can take, like a lot of when I'm consulting with health educators, my goal is always to look at what is the fastest path to get to where you are to where you want to go in the shortest time possible, and look at what are the assets that you already have. And each one of us have different strengths, weaknesses, different places we're on the journey. But I believe the thing that God has blessed me with is to be able to discern what are the opportunities that are sitting right in front of you. And if you're speaking and you're doing all these presentations, like the first 300 talks that I did it totally from scratch. And if we're doing these talks from place to place, but we're not recording it, we're missing a huge opportunity, or even consultation calls. And I learned that once I could record my consultation calls as in my late teenage years, even posting those online, what I would recommend is create a community. If you can create a community, you could take your recordings, put it in your community, and you could start building out your courses. Some could be free courses, some could be paid courses, just depends. And that is a great opportunity for you to be able to build your list that we talked about. And when you're speaking, you're able to invite people to come join your community if they want to dive deeper with you and what you teach and where they can learn. And that's a fantastic way. And like I mentioned, we have Contact Keeper. It's a software that we give all of our clients, and it'll help you. We got templates. With one click of a button, you basically have this community that has these strategies I'm talking about, where you could take your recordings and upload them instantly and be able to organize them in courses or have people comment. And that way you're building a list of people that you're able to serve. So I love this. Thank you everyone for your takeaways. It's been good to hear from you. So now let's dive into today's training. We've got a lot to cover, and it's going to be great. Now, for those who are wondering, is this is this challenge for me? Is this really what what can I expect? I want to just call out who is going to be benefited through this. And by the way, not only I want you to think about, does this fit you, but think about who do you know that may be interested in participating in this challenge. You can invite other people. And it's free to attend. If you want to upgrade to VIP, it's $47, and you get backstage pass with all of us on Zoom and get to ask all your questions. But just think about, as you go through this process, God's probably going to bring people to your remembrance, and he's going to say like, oh, my friend could use this, or I know a health educator who's really interested in getting their message out. So this is for you if you are a health enthusiast and you want to learn to monetize your enthusiasm, your passion, and turn that into a profitable business or a program. We're going to be covering exactly how you can do that. If you have a health method or a program that's already developed, maybe you're helping people in your home, maybe you have speeches that you've put together, maybe you've got a certain health protocol that you want to just see go to the world, I'm going to teach you in this 5 days how to package that into programs that people love paying for. And if you're a health consultant or a coach, or you desire to be one and you want to know how to get started monetizing your knowledge as a consultant, we're going to show you that. If you're a chef, a nutritionist, if you have done cooking classes in the past or want to do those, we're going to show you how you can monetize those. If you're a naturopathic doctor and you want to grow your practice, or you want to be able to learn how to share your message in a way that's not going to get you in trouble, but is going to be able to profoundly impact the people you know you're capable of serving, this challenge is for you. You can invite other naturopathic doctors. If you're currently a health speaker, or you want to know how to get paid a premium, get booked and paid to speak for as a health speaker, I'm going to be pulling back the curtains of some of my millionaire mentors and speakers and what I've learned in the last 12 years of being a professional speaker, of exactly how you can monetize your health knowledge from stage and be able to influence other people with your story or with the knowledge that you have or can quickly acquire. And if you're a wellness author, or you believe that God has put in your heart a desire to become an author at some stage or phase, we have this training for these 5 days is going to absolutely apply to help you to be able to influence people's lives through books. And if you're a health practitioner and you have a practice locally or a lifestyle center that you want to grow or you want to bring people to, we're going to share with you principles that will help. If you're a medical missionary and you see this message as more than just business as usual, it's a mission, it's got some heart and soul behind it, then you're going to gain a lot of this. It's very different, the kind of training that I provide, than much of the business consulting that you'll see out there. And really anyone who has a health message that wants to learn how to monetize their message, get their message to the masses. Today, we're going to be covering exactly that. A little bit about myself. I had a heart attack when I was 12 years old. And this is me. When I was 12, and I was on the SAD diet, a standard American diet. I was rushed to the hospital, and they found out I was high cholesterol, high blood pressure, borderline diabetic. I already knew I was morbidly obese, severely depressed, and it was hard, but it was a wake-up call. And it was because one man with a health message, he learned how to package his health knowledge into a book and a program, and he sold it to my mother. He didn't give it to her for free. He sold it to my mother. He marketed to my family that I'm alive to be able to tell this story today. Because of the knowledge that he shared with my mom, it totally transformed my life, and I no longer would have been a childhood statistic. So I know the power of someone like you who has a health message that could save lives. And therefore, I'm not just a man with a message, I'm a man on a mission. And our mission here in our company is to empower a movement of health educators to get your message to the masses so you can save the lives of the people that you're called to serve. And many of you have a life-transforming message, and I know that this is going to make a difference when people can know that you exist. And because of my experience of having a heart attack, I started speaking, doing cooking classes, health seminars, health lectures, since I was 17, traveling around the nation, speaking at these events. They wanted to hear my story. They wanted to hear my experience. And I've been fascinated with digital marketing for over since I was 12 years old. And I realize a lot of health educators don't really understand about digital marketing, but I learned at a young age that if I did not learn how to market my message, then my message would die on my lips. So it's very important for me to get this message out to others. And I want to stop and ask you, for you to get your message to the people you're called to serve, for you to have outstanding results, we have to commit to your mission, commit to your message, commit to this challenge. I realize that sometimes when people don't pay, they don't really pay attention. So are you willing to commit to being here all week? I'm going to give you some assignments. I want you to treat this like a class that you've paid $10,000 for. Type yes in the chat if you're willing to commit. I'm going to be asking you some questions, and I want you to engage, because when you interact, you're going to get more through this experience as well. So if you're willing to commit, you could just type yes in the chat, and you'll get more from this experience. I know when it comes to health, yes, I love it. When it comes to building a profitable health business, this isn't really stuff that we get taught in our medical training or certifications or degrees. They don't really teach the business side. They teach the body, disease, physiology, and health side, which is amazing. But when it comes to building a profitable business, it can be kind of confusing. If you listen to Russell Brunson, he's going to tell you that building a sales funnel is the key to building a profitable business online. Daryl Eves, he's a world-renowned trainer when it comes to YouTube marketing and how to grow on YouTube. Peng Joon is an international business mentor, and he'll teach you Facebook ads is how you can grow in 2026. Sean Cannell, he will teach you video marketing is how you transform lives. You got Pedro Adeo, he's someone who will teach you about a 5-day challenge. This 5-day challenge I'm doing, I learned through him. I learned a lot from him. And he'll say 5-day challenge, that's all you need to grow your business. Myron Golden is going to teach you about selling from stage and selling premium programs. David Shands, he's going to teach you that podcasting is the way to be profitable in 2026. Steve Larson is going to show you about building webinars that convert, online webinars. I mean, wherever you go, everybody has different phrases and things that they say. Some say webinars are dead. Others say webinars are the best thing since sliced bread. But it can be kind of confusing, right? You end up looking like this, just wondering, where do I start? What is the secret to building a profitable business? And I know exactly what you're going through. I've been in your shoes. And today what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull back the curtain of my millionaire mentors and show you exactly what I've learned and what I've been able to do with our family business to make over $500,000 in our health education company, and how to impact the lives of over 10,000 people along the way. Today's topic, we're looking at the secrets to attracting clients who desire to pay you. How many of you are ready to learn the secret to get leads, build relationships, and solve problems at scale even while you sleep? Type sleep in the chat below if you want to learn how are we able to expand this reach. And it's actually easier than you would think. So the first secret that we're going to be talking about is how to do this exactly. And a question that comes to me as I work with a lot of health educators, naturopathic doctors, people who are currently in training, or they are just graduated, or they're just starting, a variety of different places. And one of the things that people ask me often is, Enoch, how do I find people to sell my stuff to? And I tell them often, you don't find people to sell your stuff to, you make yourself findable to those who already desire to buy what you desire to sell. Because here's the reality. There are currently, right now, hundreds of thousands of people out there online or in the marketplace who already desire to buy what you have to offer. The only problem is that they do not know that you exist yet. So the real question is not, how do I find people to sell my stuff to? The real question is, how do I make myself findable to those who desire to pay for what you desire to sell? Because one thing that we'll find is that visibility is profitability. Your greatest enemy is not your competitors and what they're doing. Your greatest enemy is not the FDA. Your greatest enemy is not insert this person. Your greatest enemy is invisibility. It's obscurity. It's people don't know that you exist. this is what the problem that we want to solve so that you're able to get your message and reach people and impact them in ways that you otherwise couldn't. So one of the ways you could do this, and this is a principle that I teach in my book. I wrote the book on high ticket health coaching, and it teaches you how to monetize your health knowledge online. And the concept is to create lighthouse content. We talked a little bit about it in the VIP. When you get to create lighthouse content, this is where you get to tap into what I call the lighthouse effect. And I want you to imagine your ideal client is like a sailor that is lost at sea. And they are tossing to and fro. They're being thrown about by every wind of doctrine and possibility, and they're just confused, they're sick, they're tired, they're exhausted, they're looking for a solution. There's two ways that you can go and reach them. One, you could be like a search and rescue, who you can scour the wide blue ocean for those that are lost and look to hopefully find them. You can go chase down these clients. Or number two, you could set yourself up as a lighthouse. Tap into the lighthouse effect by creating lighthouse content that solves problems, small problems that you're able to be a light in the dark. You're able to provide clarity around some of their small problems that they face. And while they're searching online, your content is showing up. While people are asking AI about how to lose weight or how to get rid of their facial pain or how to reverse their sickness, your trainings are appearing. And then your ideal clients start coming to you because they see the lights and they start being attracted. And this lighthouse content positions you away. You stop being the annoying guest, the annoying pest, and you become the welcome guest. You stop being that pesky like salesperson, but you start being a trusted advisor, someone that people listen to, they learn from, they lean into your advice, and they seek you out. So instead of you trying to chase down clients and trying to get them to pay you for things, they're chasing you down. They're showing up to your events. They're reaching out to your DMs. They're booking consultation calls with you. And they're asking, how can I pay you? Because you've already blessed me so much with this content. And I like how Paul puts it in 2 Corinthians 4:6. He says, for God who commanded the light to shine out of darkness has shined in our hearts. Why has God given us this light? And what is this light? To give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. So one, light is knowledge. And two, why does God give us this health knowledge? It's so that we can give it to other people. We're blessed to serve. And when there's only so much that we could like hoard up in all this health knowledge before we have to express it to other people. And I believe that as health educators, we have such a beautiful business, a beautiful outlet or opportunity to be able to express our ideas in a way that can make a difference. And Jesus said in Matthew 5:14, ye are the light of the world, a city set on a hill that cannot be hid. And we want to be able to let our light shine. And how do we do that? It's by picking up the microphones. I had an early mentor of mine. He was a multimillionaire, and he was telling me, he was like, look, Enoch, generally speaking, in any audience, whoever holds the marker makes the most money. Meaning whoever's up there teaching and sharing, what I would say is whoever holds the microphone is generally the one making the most money, because when you tap into speaking on stages, speaking to audiences, when you get to share your message, you have captivated their whole audience's attention and you're able to speak. That's why any opportunities you have to let your light shine on stages during ahas or takeaways where people get to know you, they get to like you, trust you, and just learn more about your story, your process, your methodology, the value that you can add to the marketplace, you want to take them up on that opportunity. Jesus said in Luke 12:3, therefore whatsoever you have spoken in darkness shall be heard in the light, and that which you have spoken in the ear in the closet shall be proclaimed on the housetops. So God wants us to take your health message and put it on the housetops. Now, back in the day, Jesus would literally be on housetops, and that was the platform that would elevate his message to be able to reach more people and gather audiences together. But today, we're not speaking on literal housetops. What is the modern housetops and platforms? It is social media. We've got YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We've got these short videos. It's never been easier in human history than today to be able to share a message from your phone, from your house, from your home, anywhere with an internet connection that's able to transform the lives and reach the lives of millions of people. It's incredible. So here's some examples of Lighthouse content, what this could look like. Number one, what I recommend people do is start by creating a signature speech. Signature speech in a specific way that helps you to educate people closer to a sale, that's able to speak in a way that when you're done talking, they want to work with you. They're ready to take the next step. So once you have this long form signature speech, which is about like a 90-minute presentation, 60-minute presentation, somewhere around there. When you craft one signature speech, you can turn that into publishing a best-selling book. You could use those principles in signature speech. You could be a guest on other people's interviews, whether it's podcasts or YouTube or otherwise. Or you can invite experts to come speak on your platform and you can interview them, ask them questions. You can borrow their audience as you're building your audience. You can borrow their credibility, borrow their stories, borrow their knowledge or expertise. You can extract that for your audience. And even by you being positioned next to some of these leading industry leaders, on your show, your audience will automatically position you next to all of these other influential people, but you're able to interview other people who have audiences. And you could turn these into blog articles you could publish. AI can help you to turn transcripts of your videos into blog articles as well that you edit. You could post YouTube videos. You take principles in your signature speech and turn them into YouTube videos. Those YouTube videos could become free courses that you're able to structure and organize together to make things more simple for people. You could do health seminars. These are examples of Lighthouse content. Even online challenges like what I'm doing right now. This is a Lighthouse content. I'm giving free value, solving problems, helping provide clarity for people to help simplify the process for others. And this really opens the door. But there's one caveat to this. Whenever you're creating free content, I would suggest never give for free what you otherwise couldn't charge for a fee. Meaning you don't want someone to go to your free content and say, this is like, what is this? I don't want that. And they tune out, they lean out, they stop showing up, they stop paying attention. You want people, my goal is always to provide more value in my free stuff than most people charge for. And when you can make this your objective, to make your free content so valuable that basically, like what I want people to do and what you do well to do is you want people to ask, wow, if Enoc's free stuff is this good, imagine how much better it'd be when I pay him. Because the reality is, even in this challenge, for instance, what I'm going to be sharing this week, I'm not holding back from you dangling these little like carrots and just saying, no, I'm just giving you this much and no further. I'm actually pulling back the curtains. I'm sharing with you exactly what I've promised during this challenge. But my total health marketing knowledge, I've been fascinated with digital marketing since I was 12. I can't teach you everything in just 5 short days. So I realize that there's some of you are going to want to, you're going to like this learning environment so much that you won't want this learning environment to stop. And you're going to want to extend this experience. You are going to, in these 5 days, gain so much momentum. Some of you more momentum in your health business than you have in the last year or 2 or 3. And you're not going to want that momentum to stop. So full transparency, I will make an offer at the end of this challenge. I'll make an opportunity that'll make sense for some of you and others it won't. But for those who want to maintain the momentum beyond, we'll have that opportunity. And it'll make sense for them. But if it doesn't, then that's okay. In these 5 days, you're going to get a lot of value and going to solve a lot of problems and get your questions answered. So this is how you want to think about your content. As people tune into you, when they're spending time with you, they're going to decide whether they like it or they don't. And what's really cool about Lighthouse content is you're filtering out and polarizing. Some people would never be a good fit for you. I was just talking to one of our clients this week, and she's got 2 million followers on social media, and she's a health influencer now. She does have some credentials and she's got certifications, but some people go on her content and like, oh, these health influencers popping up, trying to be experts on stuff. And they were just like, who does she think she is? Not knowing that she's been doing this for over a decade, and she's a very credible person on it. But what's great is with that content, that person was probably never a good fit for her coaching program. And we helped her to go from selling a $200 course to being able to create her first $3,000 group coaching program. And Reginae was able to make more in those transactions than she ever have in over the 10 years of her working in her field. And not only that, she was able to sell 2 programs in one day. So she had her first $6,000 day through that. Well, it was really just a couple hours. So this is what's possible when you're able to create this content. What's cool is that those people that would never be a good fit, they don't waste the time on the consultation calls or when they're actually coming in contact with you. It's like Jesus had an inner circle. He had Peter, James, and John. He had the 12, and the 12, they had the 70, and then they had the others, and it kind of expanded. They had the great multitude and the masses and the people. And what's really fascinating to me is that when you have Lighthouse content, it gives people the opportunity to self-select themselves. Instead of getting on calls with you and then deciding not to buy, they can get on the videos with you, and they could see if they like your style, they like your messaging, they believe in what you're sharing, and you're able to add value and serve people. And even if they don't pay you, you're still able to help solve problems for people at all different commitments of financial commitments or time commitments at no increase, like more of your time requirement. Because if all you're doing is one-on-one calls, there's only so many hours in a day, and it makes it very difficult. So this is what you want to do: is you want to provide extremely valuable content for free. And as you solve problems, people want to ascend with you as well. Jay Razook, he's a business lawyer for health professionals. He's flat out said, when he's watched my YouTube videos, he's like, look, I've paid over $5,000 to get access to the advice that you're giving away for free in your videos. And he was so excited, he started sharing my videos with his health educator friends and other people. He's like, you got to check this out because this is really good stuff. And truly, like, people, there's also Christy joined our challenge, and she's like, look, I've paid the $5,000, I've paid the $10,000, and it was valuable, but not as personal, not as helpful as I could already perceive this is. She's like, the program I paid $10,000 for, it's such a big crowd, I got lost in the crowd, but this is even more rare and more valuable to find. Talking about just our free challenge. So she's literally said that our free content is worth more value than her $10,000 program that she was just a number of and she got lost in. So these are the types of testimonies that you want to see, the experience that you want to create for the people that you are working with. And we have a software, Content Keeper, that helps you to schedule your social media content, to plan your social media so that you have consistent content that's able to go out and you're not always on like this content grind. But we've got a system for creating content, system for scheduling and posting and following up with people. It makes it very easy for you to manage, so you're not trying to do it all over the place. It's just one software that just brings all your marketing efforts together. Pretty much each of these principles that I'm teaching during these challenge, Content Keeper helps you to implement the concepts we're teaching about. So another thing that you could do is you could do what I like to call a Google test. Right now, people who have the money to pay you, they are searching for your solutions. They are looking to buy what you're looking to sell, and they're online looking right now. So what I would do is I would search your name in Google and see how many of the front pages of Google do you own? How many of those are, when people search for the problems they're looking for, how many of you show up on that feed? Because the problem that a lot of health educators face is that your ideal clients can't find you with the help of the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, and a private investigator. It's like you don't exist. You're a ghost. They're looking to pay someone, but if you don't have the content to help them to know that you exist and the problems that you solve, you're not going to show up when people are searching for you. You want to make yourself findable. There's an example. I was posting a short video, and I was just posting a story. It disappears in 24 hours, but I was sharing this simple idea, and this health educator, Myra, she saw it and she shared it with her husband, and she was so excited because my Facebook profile is optimized for people to know exactly who I help and what I do. and she sent it to her husband. Her husband reaches out to me and he's like, look, I'm Myra's husband. She told me about your health coaching business and I praise God for it. Would you know, last week I was on a call to get coaching for my online business for $6,000. I prayed and waited upon the Lord and look what happened. Here you are. I love Jesus. His way is best. And he's excited about it. And my point in bringing this up to you is because right now, high-paying health clients are on calls with your competitors, are on calls looking and searching, and they're prepared to pay thousands of dollars for solutions that they could better invest in you, pay thousands of dollars to you to be able to work with you, and that you could solve problems and help them. But the thing is that the offer you don't make is the offer they can't take. So if you've never been paid $3,000 for someone to work with you, it's probably because you've never made a $3,000 offer yet to give people the opportunity to do that. And he asked another question. He's like, is this you? And he sent a screenshot because we're living in a day and age where people are not just posting, they're not just hearing you and buying the first time. They're actually wanting to know, they're doing research on you. They're looking for reviews. They're trying to figure out more about your business. So when he looked up my name on AI, this is what AI said about me. It said, Enoch Leffingwell is a renowned entrepreneur, business coach, and best-selling author, and an international speaker. He's been fascinated with internet marketing since he was 12 years old, and he's been an entrepreneur since he was 10. Enoch helps health coaches, speakers, authors, and other health entrepreneurs get paid a premium for their advice by creating premium coaching programs. He's delivered over 3,000 presentations and has received training from industry leaders like Myron Golden, Russell Brunson, and Brendon Burchard. Now it's one thing if I say this about myself, but now when you have AI that's now speaking to your ideal clients and sharing, when AI tells your ideal clients how your story, your backstory, why you're relevant to them and how you're a good fit to them, imagine how much easier it is to sell, to monetize your knowledge when you are findable and because you have content and because you share your story and so you're able to train these searches that wherever they search for you, whether it's through Google, whether it's through YouTube, whether it's through social media, all roads lead back to you. In fact, I had a client, she joined one of my coaching programs and she said, and I asked her, I said, why did you choose to work with me? Why not go to somewhere else? And she's like, I'm going to be honest with you. I did search and research other people to look for how to start my health education business, but I went with you because you're the only one I could find that had no negative reviews. It was nothing but good things people were saying about you. When I went other place, one lady had a lawsuit, another lady had a bunch of bad reviews, but I could only find good things about you. And I praise God for that because by God's grace, we've been able to have a slew of satisfied, happy clients that are enjoying what they have. And we focus on results. We don't just overwhelm you with a bunch of stuff. We show you this is the exact step to take. Here's what to focus on. Here's a sequence. And we got a proven process that is consistently able to help health educators to get paid a premium for their health advice, whether it's their first $3,000 program or get more existing clients, whether they're starting or scaling their program. That's something that we understand pretty well. And when you have a reputation of people who you've been able to make big promises to and deliver on those promises. And when people come and you're able to capture these reviews, when you could share what people's experience has been with you, that's a valuable asset. You want to learn to do that and do that well. So the first secret is to create lighthouse content. And this is going to help you to go from chasing clients to attracting clients like a lighthouse. The second secret, this is how to pick a topic to talk about. Sometimes people are not sure, what do I cover? What do I address? And I went to this influencer summit. It was an event hosted by Brendon Burchard, and it was all about, each speaker there was making over $1 million a year, whether it's through books or coaching, or whether it's through courses or podcasting or a variety of different ways. And here is at this event, I learned they gave a list of like 12 ways to monetize your knowledge. And I was like, wow, that makes it so simple, because there's a lot of freedom in this business model to be able to serve people. But one lady, she caught my attention. Her name was Natalie Hodson, because her experience, she found out that she had some like medical condition that she couldn't have certain foods. There was certain like food allergens she had, so she had to learn how to make different foods. And she started a blog, like literally just posting recipes and posting some of her workouts or her family, the nutrition that she's been doing. And as she was posting this blog, she found there's other women who have similar allergens or similar family needs, and they were learning about these recipes and ingredients, and just they were bonding together. And she started doing some of these fitness exercises, and she started growing an audience. And I want you to catch the pattern here, the principle. She's solving a problem for her own life. She's documenting the journey. And as she's documenting it, people are following. She's not just creating content, she's documenting her process and publishing that, and built an audience that way. So she became a fitness influencer, and that opened up more opportunities to share with people. And one day she was on a partnership with this live stream. It was streaming to tens of thousands of people around the world. And it was after she had her baby, and her like bladder wasn't working the way that it usually does, and she had an accident. And you know what happened? She peed her pants on live television during an exercise demo, and it was so embarrassing. So, being the smart marketer that she is, what do you think she did with that video? She turned it into a Facebook ad, and she paid Mark Zuckerberg to send this to millions of women. Why? Because she partnered with an expert in women's physiology, and she published a book called Abs, Core, and Pelvic Floor. And again, she had a problem, and she went and found someone. This is an example of, you don't even have to be the source of knowledge. You could partner with someone who has a knowledge, cooperate with them. They publish a book, and she learned to turn her literal mess into her message. And she partnered with a specialist doctor, and they solved a very specific problem for a very specific person. Think about it. Now, did I ever receive that Facebook ad? No, I'm a male. Is it for every young woman that has never had a baby? No, it's not. It's for mothers who've had a baby, and afterwards their bladders aren't working as well. And that story, that ad, it resonated with her ideal client, and she sold this. She published a book for $37, an ebook. It's a digital book, and she made millions of dollars in ebook sales alone. And she built a speaking business on the back end of her book. And this is examples of what's possible. So one of the ways to pick your topic is to really turn your problem into your presentation. And that becomes a very good, you could come from a place of experience, or it may not be your problem. Maybe, like I heard someone on here, they were saying that they were helping people with cancer because they had a loved one who suffered from cancer, and it has a personal impact to them. And it may not be that you're a cancer survivor, but maybe someone you loved did that, or maybe it's diabetes, maybe it's high blood pressure, maybe it's a heart attack, whatever the experience is. I got started because I had a heart attack when I was 12. I lost 50 pounds in 3 months and never put it back on. People want to know, how did I do that? And so I could talk about heart health and diabetes, but these are opportunities for you to pick your presentation. If you're having a challenge knowing what topic to cover, then let's talk in the VIP. Upgrade to VIP ticket, and let's go backstage and ask some questions. And usually we're able to pick one of these profitable topics pretty well for people when we're intentional through the VIP. So that's how you can pick that. That's secret number 2. Secret number 3, as a speaker, there are 2 primary ways that you can get paid to speak from stage, or to share your message and impact lives, both at online and offline events. How many of you would like to get paid to speak and share your message? Type paid in the chat below if that's you. There's 2 types of speakers, and it's very important to understand this. Number 1, you have the option where you could speak for a fee. That's usually the most popular. I remember my first paid talk, I was 17 years old, and I was invited to go speak at an event, and I got paid for this, like $100 for this hour slot. And I was speaking, there's probably an audience of like 50 people there. but I wasn't expecting to get paid. But as I shared, I was like, what is this? And the event organizer was saying, well, all the speakers here at this event, we paid for their travel and we paid for their food, and we paid them per speech, as well as we're giving them extra to go home because they do this for a living and they got families to provide for. And when he said that phrase, I was like, wait, you mean to tell me there's people in this world who get paid and they make a living off of sharing a message I would gladly share for free, but they don't just make peanuts, they make enough to provide for a family? That was a day that I became psychologically unemployable. And that's when I dedicated the last 12 years of my life to learn everything that I can to be able to share a message with people and package it, whether it's in DVDs or in courses now, or through emails or videos or content, and be able to make a difference with the message that I have and be able to provide for my family. But if you think about this, being 17 years old, and what I just did is I learned. Before that, I was working at a model train company. It's like an assembly line where you twist plastic pieces and put it in a bucket. I'm like, this is mind-numbing. It was rough. And if you've ever worked at a job where you're like, I do not see myself doing this for the next 5-10 years. I don't want to be doing this. I want to share my health knowledge and be an educator. I like this more. That's where I was when I was a teenager. And I was making $8.50 an hour. So let's say I work 10 hours in a day. I only make 85 days. $85 for that day, but I couldn't because I was in high school. And what I realized is in 1 hour, I learned how to make what would have otherwise taken longer than a day of me to work. I made it in an hour. And I thought, wait a second, there's something to this. And I did some research. And in 2012, when this was happening, a family physician, a doctor, was making about $96 an hour. So I learned how to make as much money as a doctor did when I was in high school. And it was through public speaking. Part of the reason why is because what I've since learned is public speaking is one of the most profitable and highly paid professions in the marketplace that exist. And this is why health educators who learn to speak and learn to speak well opens up many opportunities. And one lesson I learned as I was speaking at that event, there was a family there. And they saw that I was young and they saw that I could express my ideas well. And they said, well, are you willing to travel and speak? And I said, sure. I've never done that. In my head, I'm like, I've never done that, but I'm willing. Yeah, I'll travel. And so what they did is this was the first time that I got paid to speak across the nation. And that was the first time I was ever on a plane ticket. The first time I ever stayed at a hotel. I was so excited. I literally took a photo in the mirror. I'm like, I'm in a hotel. This is wild. I've never been like that because my family we grew up on welfare and it was hard to buy $1 cheeseburger at McDonald's like once a year because we were on food stamps and that's what we had to eat, the cold food in Oregon. So like this is just a different experience. And this is the first time that I traveled to the East Coast. This is the first time I traveled alone. And I was sitting there and as I reflect, I think, a lot of people, they actually pay big money. They pay thousands of dollars to go on vacations and go travel to these destinations that are amazing. But here as a speaker, I'm getting paid to travel the world, to travel to these vacations. I've got a client, Melanie, who is able to travel to these dream destinations, and she gets paid tens of thousands of dollars per speaking engagement. And she gets to travel and speak to these places. Even Rajane, we helped her to book her first paid speaking engagement. Someone's doing an event with Dr. Barbara O'Neill's, and they wanted her to speak there. And she's like, what do I do? So she called me up, being one of my coaching clients. I was able to address some of her questions. I shared with her exactly what to say on the call, what to say through text and email, and what not to. This is a conversation to have over the phone. Here's how to conduct it. She went through the whole process. She got paid $7,500 to give a 45-minute speech. It's like $7,500. She's never been paid that much in less than an hour. And not only that, they pay for her and her daughter to be able to go to this event and have enough time and money to go explore and enjoy it, like a mother-daughter kind of getaway. So that's the type of possibilities that we get to do as speakers. And Ashley Kirkwood, she shared that the average keynote speaker in America makes $7,500 per speech. But if you think about it, you're not an average speaker. You don't have an average message. You don't have an average mission. You don't have an average method. You're not an average speaker. The opportunities for you to be able to monetize your knowledge online is amazing. And I really like how Warren Buffett put this. I learned this also in my early 20s. He was saying that, see, Warren Buffett is a billionaire, and he made his billions in investing in companies. And he's often asked by media and the press, and they ask him, Warren, what's been the best investment that you've ever made? He's gone down in history as one of the greatest investors alive who's ever lived. And he would always answer the question. I've seen it on clips. He answers the same way. He says, my public speaking course was arguably the best investment I made in my life. He has it still hanging on his wall in his personal office in Nebraska. And what he's sharing is that learning to speak in public can increase the value you're able to add to the marketplace, at least by 50%. He said, regardless of what profession you are, learning how to speak one to many, that's how we're able to really increase our value. And what we learn in VIP is that every dollar you make is basically a certificate of appreciation. It's a receipt of the value that we added to the marketplace. If we want to make more money, we need to learn how to increase more value. How do we increase more value? It's by solving valuable problems. So instead of thinking about pricing as far as like, well, how much I get, think about pricing and money as what value can I add? How can I solve problems for people? Because as health educators, as entrepreneurs, we are not product pushers, we're problem solvers. And when we solve problems to people's health challenges, that's when they're willing to pay a premium for our advice. So the two types of speakers is, number one, is those who speak for a fee. Now, there's a limitation to that because in order for you to get paid like tens of thousands, 40,000, 50,000 or more, for one speaking engagement, you got to be like an A-list celebrity to be able to charge higher prices. It's harder to get paid that kind of deal through fees. Fees is the second way to get paid as a speaker is you can speak for free. Now you might be looking, saying, Enoch, why is a speaking for a free money bag larger than the speaking for a fee? And I'm glad you asked, let me tell you. Because when done correctly, you can actually be more profitable speaking at even free events than you would of just relying on speaker fees alone. Speaker fees are great and fun and nice, but I want the opportunity to be able to speak and sell from a stage because I know that you can profitably speak for free. And I started learning this from Dave MacArthur. He was an early millionaire. He was the first millionaire mentor of mine. He made $10 million on the back of one signature speech. And he was one of the first people. We traveled from state to state to state and in hotels and seminars and online and on Zoom. And he was teaching me how to sell it, how to share health messages that people actually buy. And one of the things he told me is, he's like, Enoch, facts tell, but stories sell. Tell stories that address people's concerns. Tell stories that your audience can relate to. Tell stories that people can understand. Even when you're sharing science, share science in a story format where it's like developing. Stories capture people's attention. Stories is how we perceive the world. Stories is how we make sense of life. Even now, as if I could break the fourth wall, I'm sharing with you, I'm telling you the story of how I learned. There's a big difference between speaking to teach and speaking to sell. Because what I did for the first 5 years, being struggling as a health educator, doing cooking classes, health lectures, seminars throughout the nation, I was speaking to teach. And I thought that if I just give them everything I possibly can, they're going to want to buy. But what I learned from Dave MacArthur is actually we got to structure our signature speech in a way that people want to pay. And that's when I started learning about speaking to sell and starting to learn those skills. This is a skill that helped me to make $10,000 a month since in my early 20s. And with this, I attended another event where this guy named Nick Unsworth was there. And there was about 1,000 people at this event. This is for faith-based entrepreneurs. And I was just seeing these 1,000 people. I'm like, wow, these are people who want to share their faith It's like Bible and business, and they're bringing this together. I'm like, this is cool. This is my people. Over at Brendon Burchard's event, it was like the first time I saw like 400 or so people in the room, and they're all learning how to monetize their knowledge. I learned a lot from that. But this experience, we were learning how to monetize our knowledge, but it was just like there was biblical principles. I thought this was really cool. But one thing that they did at the event is they had this like book publishing offer where they're going to teach you how to publish your book, and it was $3,000. And when they made the offer, they did a presentation, they made the offer. There was at least 300 people who were lined up around the corner, almost out the door, ready to purchase this $3,000 item. Now, I'm not the best at math, but if you're looking at $3,000 times 300 people, my friend and I were like counting the people, and we're like, wait a second, that's a lot of money. In less than an hour, this speaker just made over 6 figures at one event. And I saw that and I thought, whoa, there's something to this. And then a couple days later at the same event, they made a different offer. This is about like media secrets and how to get like showed on, like featured on media and the news outlets and things like that and speaking. And so they had an offer. It was also $3,000. And they had another group of like 300 people who lined up ready to place an order. And I was like, they just made another 6-figure day. They had multiple 6-figure days at one event. And my eyes were blown. My mind was blown, and my eyes were open, and I was looking at not just what was happening, but like why it was happening. And I didn't understand about selling from stage at that point. So I even told my friend the moment that the presentation happened, like on the second slide, I'm like, look, he's going to present an offer. This is the outline of what it's going to look like. And sure enough, he followed it, but it works. It works really well. And so as I was at this event, I realized as a speaker, when you learn how to speak to sell, you can have larger opportunities. This is how I've been able to have my first $40,000 day, is learning how to present an offer to an audience. And I had the opportunity to travel around in Washington, D.C. with Ron Meinhardt. And I wanted to learn about health, and I wanted to grow in my health as a health educator. And he was a former medical director of UC Pines for a few years. He traveled around with Dr. Agatha Thrash around the world, where she spoke at different events, and she was an international speaker and an established health educator. And I noticed that at these events, he would sell these seminars, and his primary source of income was doing health seminars, and that's how he provided for his family. He had a good-sized family. And I saw that there was a level of professionalism about him and how he presented, and the slides that he had, and the thoughtfulness that he put into his topics, his presentations, and how he engaged the audience. I thought, this is really cool. There's something different about how he does this. And he told me that after traveling with Dr. Agatha Thrash for over 8 years to her many speaking engagements, one of the biggest lessons she taught me was to have a signature speech. And in this signature speech, he was sharing that it's basically a set of like 80 slides. She knew that when Dr. Agatha Thrash would travel, she had like the same 80 slides, and she might like skip or mix or match or modify depending on the audience, and you adapt the stories a bit for who you're speaking to, but it's the same core set of stories, same signature stories, signature slides, signature concepts. And it made it a lot easier for her to travel and speak and do really good. So then you're not worried about what am I going to say next. You're not worried on, you're more focused on how can I deliver? How can I solve problems? How can I listen to the audience, engage with the people here, and deliver the best possible experience and transfer the beliefs to the audience? And my mind was blown because I saw that's what he was doing. But for me, the first 300 talks that I did, as you could see on the screen, the first 300 presentations I did all from scratch. I believe that every time I present, it has to be something completely different. The idea of a signature speech was nowhere on my mind, and it takes a lot of time to do it, hours to put together a presentation. And what I realize is when you're talking constantly on such a variety of different topics over and over, then you don't really get to fine-tune something or refine your stories or make a message that's engaging and effective. But by having a signature story, and I would add one that's optimized for sales or sending clients to actually want to work with you, then a lot of doors open up that otherwise wouldn't. It makes it so much easier to deliver. And while I was in Washington, D.C., we had the opportunity to work with Heartland, and we showed them how they could reach the we were doing health fairs on lawn and Capitol building, how they could reach some of the leaders in DC since they're really nearby. And there was a ministry I was working with over there, and they had large resources, like hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of resources they were working with. And I realized that when there was an opportunity, they just like made an order, and they got stuff done quickly. They were able to attract good talent. And like there was a time where we had the opportunity to interview people on the streets, and we needed cameras and gear to do it. So just from thought to execution was minutes, and we bought like 5 $3,000 cameras, and then they were there in 2 days, and we were able to interview people. And I was one of the people interviewing them on the streets. And I just thought in contrast, because I strictly remember putting a GoFundMe account for trying to raise the money for a camera that's $1,000 camera, and it took me like 8 months to raise the money for that. And then here they just like pulled it out, bought 5 of them for $3,000 in just a few minutes. And I thought, wow. And I realized like you can serve people with resources, and I've served people without resources. And I can tell you from experience, it's a whole lot easier and more effective to serve people with resources than without. But I had the opportunity to drive with the director of that ministry, and it was just him and I in the truck. And I asked him, I'm like, help me understand something. You're in full-time ministry. How is it that your ministry has all these resources where most other ministries I know, they're broke, and why can't they afford things? And he was saying, well, Enoch, you have to understand that in the Bible, there are biblical financial principles. And when you understand these biblical financial principles, then money is a result. But if you don't understand them, if you violate these biblical financial principles, lack of money is also a result. And I thought for the first time, you mean to tell me that there's a reason why we don't have finances and why some do and some don't? I thought it was just arbitrary. But I was like, can you teach me those financial principles? He's like, well, I don't really have the time to do that. It's not really the focus. No, but I will tell you how I learned them. And he drove me a couple blocks in Washington, D.C. We were in the Capitol, and just a few blocks away, he took me to this affluent neighborhood. He said, see that house right there? Yeah, that's where I grew up. And I come from a family of politicians. They're known as kingmakers. They would fund the politics, or they would fund the political campaigns of these leaders and put them into office. So we understood these financial principles. And he also had a company. It was $5 million a year construction company. And he was telling me that everything that you learn in business is completely transferable in ministry, whether it's casting a vision, delegation, leadership, whether it's communication, public speaking, the systems and organization. The skills that you learn in business are also transferable to ministry. That blew my mind. And he said a lot of the people on the board of our ministry, they're business owners, or they're spouses of successful business owners. And because we understand these business principles, it helps our ministries to thrive and work better. And that opened my eyes, and I started praying to God that he would put a mentor in my path that understood financial principles, loved the Bible like I do, cared about people, was a health educator, and was willing to mentor me. And I started praying, and that's when God started to put people in my life that I could learn. But he didn't finish. So we drove about a block away, and he took me to this country club. And at this country club, he said, you see that club over there? That club costs $250,000 a year to be a part of. And that's what my family paid each year. I was like, $250,000 a year? That's enough to buy a house. Who in their right mind would pay so much to be a part of a club? And he told me something I'll never forget. Enoch, you have to understand that wealthy people value things differently than poor people. Wealthy people value relationships over money. And they value relationships over money. And I thought, and he told me that one relationship in that community could be worth something that would turn into like a $5 million deal. The partnerships you get, the access that you get to the network, the people, those who are operating at a higher level, it's very different than what you would have on your own on your own network. So it's not an expense, it's an investment. And little did I know that later on I would invest $55,000 to be a part of a mastermind of other health educators or speakers who are operating at a higher level. But at that time, it just planted a seed. I couldn't fathom it at first, but now I realize that's one of the secrets to being able to open up greater possibilities in business, is learning how to pay to get in the room where other people are learning and growing. So at this mastermind where I ended up investing, the conversation there was only talking about how to have 6 and 7 figure days. As a speaker, when you're selling from stage, when you're sharing with other people, many like business trainings, they will celebrate or recognize you when you make 7 figures in a year. This is, or at any time in your business, but this, you only get an award when you have a 6-figure day or a 7-figure day. And I met colleagues, one after another, health educators in different industries, who were learning the same principles that I'm teaching you today, how they can have, how they can have these big paydays. And where I didn't end up having a 6-figure day, but that's where I learned how to have my first $40,000 day. But if you think about learning how to take what used to require a year to earn and learning how to make that in a day, that's eye-opening. So that's what I like to do for our clients, is to teach them how to take what used to take months and learn how to do it in weeks and then in days. In fact, we have a client, Dr. Razia. She was struggling to get one-on-one clients for $400 before she worked with us, and we helped her to automate her system for booking calls. We gave her a sales script. We helped her to craft an irresistible offer and a signature speech, and she was able to get her first $3,000 client within 10 days of joining our program. And it's not just really about learning how to monetize or create a $3,000 offer. It's learning how to increase the value so people can perceive that what you have is valuable. She shared her offer with another coworker, and once they realize the price, they're like, $3,000? Oh, that's nothing. Because once they realize what we crafted together, they're like, that's nothing. Where a lot of times people think $3,000, no one's going to pay that. Why would they ever do that? Well, they do when you know how to solve valuable problems. How many of you would like to get paid from sharing your signature speech? Type yes in the chat below if that's you. Because once you understand how to do this, it really opens doors for you. Think about the skill, the lifetime value of learning how to speak, that anytime you open your mouth, people want to pay you and they're ready to work with you at different capacities. You can turn any free event into a profitable event when you learn these principles. So an example is, I spoke at this event and it was on Zoom. It was online, it was free. And this one speaking engagement made me $26,500 in back-end sales. And if you look in the screenshot, there's about 26 people on the call at the time of this photo. So that's about $1,000 per person who attended. And some of those people are my students and some of the people that I invited, but so that they could see an example of what I was doing. But this is like a skill that when you understand it, yeah, you can get paid as the speaker's fee, but learning how to speak, how to turn free opportunities into profitable opportunities is really powerful. And in day 4, I'm going to show you 12 ways to profit from a signature speech without charging speaker fees. You're not going to want to miss that. I will go into more detail there. So we're starting to wrap up. This is what we're talking about today. The secrets to attracting clients who actually want to pay you. What I want you to do as an assignment is, I want you to be able to make a post in the community, and I want you to tell me what is the aha that you've gotten from this event. What's something that stood out to you? What are you going to apply, change, or teach? What are you going to act on? ACT, apply, change, or teach differently as a result of the training that you've done. You could do it in a text post, and you could share that. If you haven't upgraded to VIP and you want to, then go ahead and upgrade to VIP. And you can go to highincomehealthexpert.com/upgrade. If there's anybody that you want to invite as you're going through this, you're like, I think this person could really benefit from this training, share it with them. It's free to attend. And you could just share with them, highincomehealthexpert.com, invite them to be a part of it. They could join in and learn and grow together. I believe that these challenges are so much better when we don't do it alone, and we could do it with each other. We gain a lot more that way. And I have some book recommendations that I'll share with you that I believe will help to expand on some of these topics I've covered. The first book, I would say the greatest marketing book ever written is the Bible. And in the Bible, you're going to find business principles that are unlike anything else. And everything that I've learned about business and marketing, I either learn from the Bible or I learn and trace through the Bible. And if the Bible doesn't teach it, I don't teach it. So I just filter everything through a biblical perspective. And I get it. If you're offended by the Bible, you'll probably be offended by me because that's just how I teach and that's how I look at life. And also another book that's very helpful is Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson. Traffic is the attention, it's eyes, it's like learning how to capture the attention of your ideal clients. And Traffic Secrets by Russell Brunson is a very powerful book that shows you different ways that you can find your ideal clients and where they're gathered. And also Hook Points by Brendan Kane. This shows you how to stand out in the 3-second world, how to capture people's attention, and how to keep their attention long enough for whether you're speaking or creating content, Lighthouse content. What Brendan Kane did is he grew from 0 to 1 million followers on a Facebook page in 30 days. And so the principles that he's learned over the years, he compressed into this book and teach you how to capture people's attentions. It's really helpful. And then the last book I'll recommend today is called Business Secrets from the Bible by Daniel Lapin. And if you're someone who kind of has some hesitation about business and about what, and you like ministry or you like nonprofits, but you have a hard time with business or wrapping your head around it, or it just feels kind of bad, or having charge a price for your advice or things of that nature, Business Secrets from the Bible is an extremely powerful book. It's actually written by a rabbi. So it's mostly coming from that kind of perspective, and it's talking about the Old Testament, but there's a lot of biblical principles, and you'll realize that the Jewish people throughout history, there's been like no other group of people who've had such high financial prosperity, went in captivity, lost everything, and they got it all back, and then something happened, they lost it, and they got it back because they're following these biblical principles that create finances as a result. If you want to understand what those principles are, Business Secrets from the Bible is actually really helpful to shift your perspective from the biblical examples of why business, when I say that business is God's established plan to serve people and solve problems and serve God and help others, you're going to see a lot of reasons why here. It's really good for your mindset to give you the emotional permission to focus. Like what I did when I realized that all these business skills are completely transferable to ministry, that helped me so much to give me the freedom to show up and to serve and to learn about marketing and business and sales. And truly, it's helped me to be more effective in my ministry to serve and help other people as well. So those are some of the books I'd recommend. And today what we've covered is the secrets to attracting clients who desire to pay you. Tomorrow what we're going to cover is the 7 keys to selling while serving. And if you've had a challenge with selling, when it comes to health knowledge, it's like, yes, I could do that. I love it. But when it comes to talking about money and the price and for your programs and what it costs, you do not want to miss tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to go into great detail showing you these 7 keys of how you can serve people at the highest levels while also selling and doing it profitably in a sustainable way. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And remember, friends, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Have a great day and God bless.